The Steducentre 2015 Grade 8 A&A Exam Review, English, Home Language. Part 1. Comprehension. Teenagers and phones, how to be smart about it. Do you ever really think about this crazy new world in which every teenager and most tweens has a cell phone and instant access to mobile technology and social media of all kinds? It's a pretty amazing world, and it's changing by the minute. It's hard to keep up with all the new technologies that spring up seemingly overnight. Think about it. Smartphones with easy texting and internet access have only been around for a little over 5 years now. The iPad just came out 3 years ago. So the bottom line is that these technologies are so new that researchers have barely had time to study their effects on kids' brains and social development. But one thing we do know for sure, the wrong kind of cell phone use can have some frightening consequences for our tweens and teens. These days, most parents give their children cell phones when they are between the ages of 8 and 13. Far too young, in my humble opinion. But I understand why. Parents want to be able to connect with their kids easily, anytime, anywhere. And since all the other kids have cell phones, it's very hard to say no to their own tweens and teens. So like lemmings, we all go over the cliff together, hoping that the landing will be soft. But here's the problem. Research shows that most tweens and young teens do not have the judgment and good sense to be careful about what they are texting and saying online in places like Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter, and Instagram, and the number of social media sites where they can hang out and express themselves is growing daily. Research proves that part of the teenage brain responsible for reasoning, self-reflection, decision-making, and impulse control just isn't well developed yet. In fact, it's not fully developed until they are mid to late 20s. Therefore, often tweens and teens just can't think ahead about the long-term consequences of what they say and do online, even though what they say and do can be permanently recorded and broadcast to millions of people instantly. When parents give their kids cell phones, they often think they are protecting them by keeping in close contact. But the reality is, when more tweens and young teens have cell phones, parents need to be even more protective than usual, and monitoring their texts and social media usage is a huge job, one that no generation of parents has ever been asked to do before. As I said, it's a crazy new world, but whether you like it or not, it's probably here to stay. This was adapted from parentinggoodness.com by Kerry Taylor on the 30th of April 2013. Glossary. Lemmings are animals that look like large mice and live in cold northern areas. Impulse is a sudden desire to do something. Consequence is things that happen as a result of an event or action. Monitoring, observing closely, and recording or controlling something. Question 1. In this article, the author has a major concern. Which of the following best describes what the author is concerned about? A. The inability of parents to protect their children. B. The advantages presented by social media sites. C. The need for tweens and teens to use cell phones responsibly. Or D. The lack of research being done on cell phone usage. Question 2. Which of the following best describes the tone of the writer? Is it A. Unbiased, B. Unfair, C. Uncaring, or D. Unsure? Read the lines below and answer questions 3.1 and 3.2. And since all the other kids have cell phones, it's very hard to say no to their own tweens and teens. 3.1. Give a reason for the use of the apostrophe in its. 3.2. Why are the inverted commas used in no? Question 4. Which of the following best describes the expression spring up in paragraph 2, line 5? Is it A. Extremely fast development of new technology. B. The world growing at an amazingly fast rate. C. High numbers of teenagers with cell phones. Or D. Increasing sales of cell phones to teenagers. Question 5. Do you think that children between the ages of 8 and 13 are too young to have cell phones? Based on the text, give one reason for your answer. Direct quotes. Quotes printed word for word exactly as the speaker said them are direct quotes. These words appear inside quotation marks. The attribution word appears outside the quotation marks. The attribution is the phrase that tells us who said it, where you got the information. Direct quotes are used when a source expresses an opinion. So what is an unbiased opinion? Unbiased is an adjective. It means that we are free from all prejudice and favoritism, and that we are impartial, which means we are being objective. What do I need to know if I need to move from direct to reported speech? Direct speech uses speech marks or inverted commas to show what the person is actually saying. Reported speech tells you what someone is saying without the use of speech marks. If you had to change these sentences from direct speech to reported speech, it would be as follows. The pirate said excitedly, "The treasure is on that island." Reported speech, the pirate told the crew that the treasure was on the island. See if you can do the rest of the examples. Here are a list of the most important contractions. Take some time to pause the video at this point and look at the various contractions. Stuff like are not is aren't, cannot is can't, had not is hadn't, he had is hid, I have is I've, it is it's, they are is there, was not is wasn't, who is whose, you are is your, you had is you'd, as a few examples. Question 1. The major concern of the author is the need for tweens and teens to use cell phones responsibly. C. The tone of the writer is unbiased, so the answer is A. The reason to use the apostrophe is because it is a contraction of it is. The reason why inverted commas are used for no is to indicate direct speech. The best description for the expression spring up is A. Extremely fast development of new technology. Question 5. Do you think children between the ages of 8 and 13 are too young to have cell phones? If you say yes, you need to give a reason. For example, most teens lack good judgment. Or no, where you also need to give a reason. It says that most teens, so that means that some have good judgment. Thank you for watching the Steducentre, turning ordinary learners into extraordinary leaders.